Welcome back to JT channel and welcome back to JT's wrestling review for Monday Night Raw from last night in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Real quick, I'd like to focus on a few things that have happened recently on my channel. I'm not complaining. I've had a few comments from people who are checking out my videos, which I highly appreciate. A few of you have pointed out the quality of my videos. Talking about changing the background, I can't change this. I can't change that. If you're brand new to my channel, there's a very early video, my second video I think ever, is called My Setup is Garbage. My setup is literally a ring light holding my phone and either facing my face or the TV. I don't have anything fancy. Yes, I know there's apps out there where I can get like a green screen background or whatever, and I have my own green screen on the other side of the room. But right now the production is what it is. I go out of the frame sometimes to deal with my daughter, etc. So if you're new to the channel, just kind of don't expect anything crazy. Don't expect any crazy production values, anything like that. Someday the goal is to get like a laptop, OBS, play games, get proper production stuff. But I have a 1-year-old daughter, 18-month-old daughter, and a very busy wife, and 2 cats, and my life is just chaos. But that's the point of the channel. The charm of my channel, as I like to say, is that it's very rough. So I'm not complaining. I appreciate those comments. They were constructive criticism. Everyone's been really nice, except the one guy who complained about Fight Forever, but I'm ignoring that. So that's that, a little bit of housekeeping, but let's jump in to Monday Night Raw last night. Like I said, it was in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and the opening absolutely sucked. Actually, before we get to the crappy part, we saw Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso all arriving to the arena. Well, Cody was already there. We saw everyone else arriving for obvious reasons. But then, yeah, we jumped right into it. It's never good when there's a rumor about an injury and either a wrestler is announced to end the show, or that wrestler opens the program. And of course, this was Rhea Ripley. Rumors about her injury sort of just came out day of, and she came out. She said she's injured and she's gonna be out for months. It sucks. I wrote boo here, like boo, because I love Rhea Ripley. I didn't cry any. I thought I would. There were thank you mommy chants. There were bullshit chants that they had to edit out or try to like bleep, I guess, or mute. Yeah, the muting is what they do. She gave a great promo. She didn't do the like, oh, I'm so sad. She kind of just like yelled at everybody and said, you know, this sucks. This is Liv Morgan's fault. And when I come back, I'm coming back for blood, no matter who has my title, etc., etc. Liv Morgan came out. Security kept them apart because Rhea's actually injured. And then Rhea headbutted a security guard. So that sucked, obviously, because Rhea's been such an integral part of this era of WWE, and she had a great title reign in her awesome match at Mania. And I was looking forward to this feud with Liv. Excuse me, and we'll get to Liv a little bit later. But yeah, obviously that sucks. Speedy recovery for Rhea, I hope. They didn't say how long. I'm sure all that will come out later. And then we saw Sheamus' shadow. I don't know why we saw Sheamus' shadow, but we saw Sheamus' shadow. Got back from break. Judgment Day hyped her up, gave her a big hug, said you'll be back better than ever. You'll be even more of a badass, is what Damian Priest said. Then we had Sheamus' big return. I think they said 8 months. It was like August. That was the last time he wrestled. He was facing Ivar. I didn't know this. I honestly didn't know this, but during this matchup, Michael Cole mentioned that Sheamus will be in WWE for 17 years as of this September. So that's cool. This was obviously big meaty men slapping meat. At one point there was, I love that I always try to write down the important moves that I want to report on and any big moments or, important stuff, bullet points. But Sheamus and Ivar went to the top. Sheamus grabbed him and hit him with a white noise from the second rope. There was also a delay. He just kind of held him there for a few seconds and then fell back with him. It looked really cool. I pointed out that Ivar's really good. I hope someday he gets more than just these like random meat squashes, let's call them. And he did like a springboard, but he got caught. He did a top rope splash. But in the end, Sheamus hit his bicycle knee, which is now called the kneecap. And he hit a bro kick and he won. Sheamus was always going to win. It was a great opponent for him, though. I want to see Ivar every single Monday. Love him. And afterwards, he went out of the ring and hugged Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. And Pat McAfee complained because he was like, had his arm right here on Pat. So he was choking Pat. And Michael Cole was happy. It was great. You got to watch the slow motion replay Pat McAfee did. I can't remember what he calls that. Then we had hype for the main event. Sami Zayn and Chad Gable are going to fight in the main event. We'll get to that. Then we had a segment that I had to walk out during because I mentioned I have a child and a wife. I have things I have to do, but I was able to catch up on everything. They revealed new tag team titles. I don't want to beat around the bush a bunch. Triple H came out. Adam Pearce was already there. They called out the Awesome Truth. R-Truth got an awesome reaction. But I like to think the reaction was for both R-Truth and The Miz. But Miz even raised R-Truth's hand up. So it was more for Truth, but they both deserve this. The titles, I think, look great. They're making all the belts kind of look like the World's Heavyweight Championship now for Raw. And for SmackDown, they all kind of have that big W in the middle for the Universal title. So you can tell these titles are on Raw, these titles are on SmackDown. So it's fine. They look fine. There is red on them because it's Raw. R-Truth thought it was a magic trick. And he calls Triple H, Tommaso Ciampa, and all this. And The Miz, this was so great. Those of you who don't know, The Miz's wife, Maryse, is French-Canadian. So Miz knows French. So he explained what was happening to R-Truth in French, and R-Truth suddenly understood. And it was brilliant. There was a "oui" chant. If you don't know, "oui" means yes, so it was just a French yes chant. It was really fun. It was really fantastic. I love The Miz and R-Truth. And we moved right into the number one contenders match. DIY against the Creeds against the New Day. During the New Day's entrance, there was a QR code. A glitch and a QR code. I was so excited about it, I kind of messed up how I was writing. It took you to a video where it said, "Time to wake up, take my hand, things will be better, trust me." This really cool logo that I don't know how to explain. It's like a circle with a U and then a cross. And then there was a crow, and there was a weird photo above the video. It was a link and all this. It's clearly going to be a pseudo Wyatt family thing. Obviously, Bray Wyatt passed away. But Uncle Howdy's going to come back. There's rumors of Eric Rowan. Braun Strowman's apparently ready to go. So maybe we're going to get this new family, Uncle Howdy family or something. I can't wait. I'm excited. But to the match, it was a triple threat tag team match between the Creeds, DIY, and the New Day. I don't know what to tell you that you don't already know. There was a lot of tagging in and out, a lot of back and forth, a lot of really cool double team, triple team moves. There was DIY went to do dives, and the Creed stopped them. Then the New Day dove into everybody, which triggered the commercial break. There was a spot that I wrote here. I actually got it wrong. The Creeds did this Northern Lights spot, but one of the Creeds did a double Northern Lights where the other one had his legs trapped around Xavier Woods, I think, and he did another Northern Lights to Ciampa or Gargano. I don't know. It was really fun, kind of hard to keep up with. But in the end, there was a Brutus Ball attempt, and then there was the New Day hitting their finish, and then Kofi Kingston went for a pin, and then DIY hit meet in the middle. Crazy. Woo! But DIY wins. So they're the number one contender for the tag team titles, and I believe that's taking place next week. I have it written in my notes what's going on next week, but really good match. I love all three of these teams, and I wouldn't even be mad if DIY won the tag team titles. We'll talk a lot about title changes throughout this video. But at the same time, I don't think I want to take him away from Truth and Miz just yet, but we'll see what they decide to do. We get a recap of what happened last week where Drew McIntyre was screwed by CM Punk, and we cut to Drew McIntyre, and he killed a TV. I don't know what else to tell you. He booted a TV off its stand. I don't know why he would watch that footage. How would you not know it was going to piss you off? But he leaves. Then we have Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae against Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. And it is same old. That's been happening the last few weeks with this, except now, apparently they had a match about Maxine Dupree wearing a hot dog costume on the internet. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I heard, what I saw reported. This is what happened. Ivy Nile always looks fantastic. Maxine Dupree only gets better every week. And this time, though, a little bit different. Candice, of course, has been bad lately. The referee was distracted. Indy Hartwell booted Maxine Dupree and then went and kept Ivy Nile from being able to stop the pin. And they won. So Indy is kind of embracing the heel turn of Candice LeRae. So I think that's interesting. You know, I didn't know if we were going to move to Indy versus Candice. I mentioned that last week, but I guess not. That's fine. We want to treat the women's tag team division better, especially with the emerging team on SmackDown of Belair and Cargill. You want to have all these other teams so that the women's tag team titles feel important, but that's up to the Kabuki Warriors as well. So that was fine. Had this awesome video for Damian Priest after this. I can't remember what the song was. You can yell at me if you want, but I didn't write it down. It's just a Damian Priest hype video. He absolutely deserves this title reign. I've been a Damian Priest fan for ages. He's the first Puerto Rican champion in over 50 years since Pedro Morales, Puerto Rican World Champion, that is. I think that's really cool. When I read that on the internet the other day, I was like, whoa, and now they talk about it on TV, so it's worth bringing up. We have Andrade versus Dominic Mysterio next with JD McDonagh sitting at ringside, as always. But before that match got started, we saw this cool little training video with Chad Gable and the Creeds. It was nice to see, Chad with the Creeds. I think that should be a stable someday. Like, they should be part of Alpha Academy if they aren't already. But we'll talk more about Chad a little bit later. Dom went for a handshake at the start of the matchup with Andrade. He just got chopped. I just wrote here that Andrade rules. They did a Three Amigos back and forth where they each hit 2, and then Andrade was able to hit the Three Amigos properly. JD did a distraction, which helped Dominic get back in control. I wrote down a few things about the camera work on this episode of Raw. I want to talk about it more because I haven't talked about it much. They do this shot every week during at least one match where the cameraman walks around the ring. It looks really cool. Fuck Kevin Dunn. Dominic Mysterio gets better every week, just like Maxine Dupree. I know he's a good bad guy, but he's really good in ring. And then at one point he was having trouble getting control, and he hit a Canadian Destroyer on the apron. WWE is using the Destroyer more, but they're using it sparingly. And whenever they do it, it is a nice surprise. It is obviously 1,000 times more often than they used to, because they used to never. But it's good to see it in WWE. It's good to see them bringing back pile drivers and stuff like that. They don't do a whole lot of regular pile drivers, but this was a good Destroyer. Dom goes for the 619, misses. Andrade hits his back elbow. He hits the Message, which is his DDT, and then he wins.
Yeah, I can get it.
It led to a 2-on-1 assault with JD, and Andrade was saved by Ricochet, so I think we're getting that match next week as well, but we'll go over next week's stuff later. We get a SmackDown recap talking about fucking Tama Tonga. Again, that's what I wrote here. So excited for Tama Tonga. Jey Uso comments, and he says he wishes that Jimmy would have come with him to Raw, but he's got to stay focused. Yeet. Then we get Chelsea Green and Piper Niven against Katana and Kaden. This was the token WWE 2-minute women's match, 3-minute women's match. Wasn't very long. It was fun, for sure. They all got some stuff in. Piper Niven hit this awesome low crossbody on Kaden, I believe. Yeah, Kaden Carter. And Chelsea got the win. Chelsea got the pin. I just don't know what we do next with either of these teams. It just sucks that they didn't get enough time. Liv Morgan gets interviewed after this. Excuse me, I was about to burp, so I blew. And she just basically said, where's all that sympathy for me when I was gone for 8 months when Rhea tore my shoulder and everyone's mad at me. The Revenge Tour hasn't ended, it's just started. So, Liv going for the women's title. And I think they said they're going to crown a new women's champion next week. Crazy. I wrote Cody time. He gets an Olay chant. He finally brings up Seth Rollins and how he helped him, how he was the MVP of WrestleMania, which he was. Love Seth freaking Rollins. Thanks him and all that. Seth gets the whoa chants from the crowd, even though he's not there. He thinks that The Rock has more than just one match left. And I guess Rock said in an interview he's going to make Cody bleed again, and Cody said that's fine, but I'm going to make you bleed with me. So we're going to build to Cody versus The Rock, and I'm pretty sure The Rock is going to wrestle more than once. He's not just going to wrestle Cody. Then he brings out Jey Uso. He hypes him up. Offers help for his matchup later on. He's got to face Finn Balor. Well, here in a few seconds, actually. Jey says he's got to do it by himself. And then Cody walks away and says, until we yeet again. Love it. Then we had a quick Nia Jax interview. She did a weird thing where she was like, when I had this person, they were mine. That was mine, and now that title's mine. I wouldn't mind Nia Jax being champion, at least for a little while. Get a good heel champion run, and then maybe have literally anybody take it from her. I love Nia Jax. I would like to put that out there. This is the best she's ever been. This run, I've met her. I think her real name's Lena Fanine or something like that. She's a wonderful person, and I just, I hope she gets the title someday. Again, why not give it to her now? Then we get Jey Uso versus Finn Balor. Balor jumps him from behind, chops him for a while. Balor looked really good in this match. He was never going to win it, but he looked really good. Obviously, it's Jey Uso versus Finn Balor. It was always going to be good. It's nice seeing Finn utilized as much as he is now. Jey gets control back for a little while, but then Finn Balor does an eye rake. Around that point, Damian leaves the locker room as if he's coming to the ring. Jey misses his splash. Finn misses the double stomp, the coup de grace, but then Jey hits a spear and a splash and wins. So that's obviously a big win for Jey Uso going into his world's title match. Priest comes out to do a face-off. The Judgment Day then jumps him, which is why Cody offered help. But this time, when they go to the outside, Jey super kicks JD, or no, he might have super kicked Dominic, because then JD goes to chase him through the crowd. He throws JD into Finn Balor, and he escapes. So Jey Uso was able to take on the Judgment Day briefly by himself. So that was cool. It's going to be interesting to see what the Judgment Day Jey Uso thing looks like in the future. The camera, here we go again talking about camera angles. The camera followed him up through the crowd outside where Sami Zayn was hanging out. They talked for a minute. Then Sami walked in. The members of the crowd that are up in the concessions hyped up Sami really well. And then Sami came out through the crowd. I wrote down, fuck Dunn again. I'm so glad Kevin Dunn is gone. Crowd gets a Sami Zayn entrance through the crowd. He's running through like the big open parts of the crowd, and the crowd's going absolutely nuts. It's his hometown. Michael Cole mentioned a couple times he was born and raised like 45 minutes away from the arena. So that's awesome. And then I wrote down, I was right. So next week, we're getting a new women's champion. That's what they said. We're doing the tag title match, DIY and Awesome Truth. And I wrote, it's Dominic Mysterio and JD against Ricochet and Andrade, but I wrote Dom and Donut versus Rick and Andrade. Obviously, that match will be great. Continuing all that. And Ricochet, of course, had that feud with Judgment Day for a little while. Then before Chad Gable comes out, Bronson Reed says it doesn't matter who the champion is. He says it's to Chad. Whoever it is, I'm coming after him, or they have to fight me, whatever. Then we get the main event. Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn for Zayn's Intercontinental Championship. Zayn gets a huge reaction during his introduction. For a while, there's a lot of pure wrestling, like arm drags and takedowns and headlocks, and it's really, really, really good. We get this, they go to commercial break after a little while. Zayn goes to do a dive, and Chad walks away, and Zayn springboards and lands on his feet, and he's like, gotcha. We come back in from the crowd, and I won't repeat what I've said twice already, but once again, come back from commercial. I said come back from the crowd because when we come back, there's a camera in the crowd, and the cameraman just kind of walks slowly to the ring. I don't know why I'm using my pen, but it was another great camera angle, great shot. Gable is getting a bit aggressive at this point. He really wants that Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn goes for an exploder. Gable is able to reverse it into a roll-up into an ankle lock. It was really good. I don't need to tell you guys that Chad Gable's really good. You know. Then they fight for a while, and Zayn's able to get Chad to the outside, and he hits an Arabian moonsault. If you don't know what that's what I call it. Simon Miller, who I'm shouting out because he's my main, he's my number one person I look up to when it comes to doing wrestling reviews. He said it was a split-legged moonsault, kind of the same thing, but it's when he leaps up from the apron and just bounces his legs off the rope and does a moonsault. When Sabu did it, it was called an Arabian moonsault, so that's what I wrote here. They eventually fight to the top rope. Chad Gable does a top rope Olympic slam, super Olympic slam, looks really good. Then they do this back and forth German suplex thing, kind of like the Three Amigos earlier with Dom and Andrade. Now it's German suplexes with Zayn and Gable. Eventually Zayn gets it's like 2-2-2-2. Zayn gets a release, German. He goes for the sharpshooter, but he can't put it in because of his ankle. His leg has been hurt. So plenty of attempts at the ankle lock from Gable. A lot of these, I won't say I didn't think that in this era, the Paul Levesque era, that we would have someone lose in their hometown, especially a championship match. But it would have been believable if Chad would have got him to submit. But in the end, he eventually gets out of it, gets Chad into an exploder, a Helluva Kick, and he retains his title. Really, honestly, the match was fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better back-to-back between, like, you had the Uso Balor match, and then you had this match. And Dom and Andrade, too. There's a lot of good wrestling on this show. And then afterwards, Zayn brings the title over to Gable, and he, like, wants to shake his hand. Gable takes in the middle of the ring, raises his arm up, points at him, all that stuff. It's all, you know what it is, being respectful. Chad leaves. Zayn goes outside. He hugs somebody. I don't know who it is. I'm not going to assume. I didn't hear if they said it was like his dad or his uncle or his brother or whatever. Then he goes and hugs his wife. And while he is hugging his wife, I've never seen this before, ever. Chad Gable grabs Sami Zayn, pulls him from his waist away from his wife, and hits a German suplex. Chad Gable turns heel. It was a fantastically done angle. We all kind of, I don't want to say we saw it coming because you never know with WWE. They may have wanted Sami just to celebrate in his hometown, but no. Chad finally snapped. He threw him into the barricade, or not the barricade, threw him into the ring post, into the announce table, and then he put him in the ring, put him in an ankle lock, then he put him in the turnbuckle, like in the top of it, and had his leg cranked within the turnbuckle. It looked nasty. I don't actually know if he did the ankle lock in the ring while they were on air. I think so. I don't remember, to be honest. I just saw the picture of it. But he was surrounded by referees, so I don't remember when that happened. But I think Raw went off the air after the turnbuckle ankle lock. Like I said, it was like between the top and middle turnbuckles. And Chad Gable looked like a crazy person. So I like that too. I like when we do something different. Chad Gable is a fantastic wrestler. We have murdered, buried, burned, soiled Shorty G forever. And this is like the best version of Chad Gable we have maybe ever seen. At least since NXT when he was in American Alpha with Jason Jordan. So now that he's a heel, we get to see what that's like. What is heel Chad Gable like? I'm really curious. And obviously this will probably lead to a rematch. Maybe even at Backlash, which is in France. It's completely different, obviously. So I'm curious on what the French audience reaction will be to Sami and Chad. Because obviously in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, where they speak French, because it's like French Canadian. So I'm just curious if the French audience will have like the same opinion or not. But that's it. That was how Raw went off the air. It was a decent show for sure. There's definitely things that could have been done better, like the women's tag team division needs to be treated better. I wish we could have gotten a little more of an idea of what's happening with the women's title next week. It just said new women's champion crowned next week. So likely what they'll do is they'll crown a champion and they'll have to defend it immediately at Backlash. Maybe they'll lose it at Backlash. Maybe we're going to hot potato the women's title, world's women's title for a little while. I wouldn't do that, but it would be different since we're so used to long title reigns in this era. But thank you everybody so much for watching. Like I said, I enjoyed Raw this week. Don't forget, I'm going to be doing SmackDown on Saturday, and then this Sunday I will be watching AEW Dynasty, and then next Monday will be my first AEW review with Dynasty. So until Saturday for the wrestling reviews, this is JT Channel. I am JT, and I'll see you next time.